There's a story in today's papers, it's quite a disturbing story, of a young lad called Jack Sage 4, and he's 3. And was left bleeding from the head after being attacked by a collie just yards from his home. Now, this wasn't a big Alsatian, wasn't a Rottweiler, it wasn't one of those band breeds. It was just a little collie. There's thousands of them around. I had one myself many years ago, and he was attacked just outside his house. His dad said the dog was doing what a dog does, panting and all that, and all of a sudden he just took off and attacked the child. Don't know whether he felt threatened by the child or what. No one knows why the dog just turned on little Jack. Thankfully he'll be okay, but there was a lot of blood and a lot of trauma for the little lad, and it's unfortunate, and it's all over the papers today. Now, Nanci Creedon runs Nancy's Doggy Daycare, and is trying to educate people at the moment on the behaviour of dogs and why dogs might bite. Nancy, good morning to you.
Hi, PJ, how are you?
Stories like that, they're horrible to read. I'd like to think they're mercifully rare, though, Nancy, are they?
These stories obviously drive me insane. There's so much mold and so much blood and all this kind of sensationalist words and stuff, when a lot of the times these incidents can be quite simply explained, and if people had a better idea of what was happening, they could massively be avoided. And that's my new goal, is my mission in life, to try and save this country from these kind of incidents from happening, because they're very much avoidable.
They're avoidable, but are they very common, though?
Well, we are, I'm trying to find out if we're the only country, but as it stands at the moment, we have never, ever, ever had a fatality in Ireland from a dog bite. Now, how many parents accidentally or intently have killed their children? How many cars have killed people? How many, airplanes have killed people in Ireland? A dog has never killed someone. We need to remember that, and we need to calm down. There's dogs everywhere. Every day you'll interact with a dog and you're alive. So we need to calm down and realise that that boy didn't almost die. Yes, it was horrible what happened, and he got a bad bite. And in my opinion, it could have been avoided. But he's okay. He'll be okay.
He'll probably be afraid of dogs for the rest of his life, though.
Yeah. Well, now, in that story as well, it does say that his mum's afraid of dogs. So I do wonder how much time has this little boy already spent with dogs. Probably not a lot, if obviously he's with his mum a lot of the time. And if she's going to avoid dogs, it's likely that he's been kept away from dogs. So far now, obviously, I don't know anything other than what I've just read. So I've already formed 2 opinions, but that it would be unprofessional of me to say I know what happened.
Yeah. Well, have you a theory as to why these things happen? I mean, I have to ask you.
I have 2 theories, and whether I'm right or wrong, listeners can take from this a lot of valuable information.
Yeah, let's make it a general thing, Nancy. Obviously, not homing in on the case itself, but why would a dog seemingly, and I use the word seemingly, randomly turn on a 3-year-old child?
Exactly, and this is the thing. A lot of these incidents, people come out and say the dog bit out of the blue and he went crazy, and I want to show people how they can see that this is about to happen. So a couple of things I picked up on that story was, first of all, they were saying the dog was panting, as dogs do. Now, generally dogs won't pant unless either they've just been out for a big sprint or they're stressed. We miss it the whole time. You go into your vet and your dog starts panting. You know, a stranger comes into your house and your dog's in the corner panting. Panting is a massive sign that the dog is uncomfortable with the situation. So the dog started off panting. If you see your dog panting and they haven't been running around, figure out what's upsetting my dog in this situation and remove it. The next thing that happens...
It's a sign of stress, is it?
It is. There's so many signs of stress that people miss. Yawning is a sign of stress. Now, if your dog's exhausted and it yawns, that's why it's yawning. If your dog isn't exhausted and is yawning, again, what's after happening to stress my dog?
Really?
Yeah, loads of them. And that's the thing. It's not fair on people, because as a general public, we don't know these things. Someone needs to educate the public on these little signs, and that's my mission. But another couple of things from that story was that the dog did growl. One of the witnesses said that the dog started growling. Then they said he went for the child's neck, but the child moved in time. Now, a dog can bite you 3 times in a second, so it's likely what happened was the dog was showing signs of stress. He then growled at the child, back away from me. He then probably air snapped at the child, towards the child's neck that is in front of him. Another sign saying, get out of my space. The child then supposedly ducked its head to protect its neck. Now, to a dog, if you're standing in front of a dog and then you duck your head, you're leaning into the dog's personal space. So again, the dog had been panting, had growled, said leave me alone, had snapped at the child saying leave me alone, and then in the dog's opinion, the child then stuck his head into the dog's personal
Now, I can hear people, and I can almost hear them picking the phone up, Nancy, to ring and say that that's an aggressive dog that should be taken out and put down.
Aggression is a behaviour. We've all behaved aggressively in the past. Most of our dogs will display aggression to public the whole time, telling the public, back away. If I say to you, look, PJ, you're in my personal space, can you back away? You will back away. Whereas dogs are...
But you're not going to bite me if I don't.
If you don't back away and if you keep getting into my personal space, I will hit you. I'm sorry. I will. Eventually, if you keep pushing me, I'm going to react. Same with dogs. Dogs growl, they show their teeth, and they get in trouble for it. So if I say, PJ, back out of my space, and you give out to me, or you throw a cup of water over me, next time I'm going to get louder and I'm going to get more serious.
So a dog is just doing its own thing and telling you. So. I think what I'm hearing from you, Nancy, is that we really need to start teaching our kids from the earliest age about dogs.
Yeah, and we need to teach the parents, because everyone's told don't leave your dog and your child unsupervised. Great. Now, do you know what you're meant to be supervising? Do you know that your dog is panting and yawning and is uncomfortable with your 2-year-old? Or do you think Mary and Fluffy are happy out together? And that's the problem. While parents are doing the very best they can, they don't know what they are supervising. So while it's all well and good saying supervise your child and your dog, you need to know what you're doing to make sure that everyone stays safe.
Is it good to have a pet in the house?
It's brilliant. Of course.
I mean, I don't think a house is complete without a pet. I mean, at the moment I have a dog and maybe 2.5 cats. We're kind of adopting the cat next door. And I have a little dog, and she's only a year old now. She's little King Charles, and she's so stupid she thinks she is a cat. Because all she's ever met is cats.
Exactly, and that's another issue, that if the dog doesn't get to interact with kids as a puppy, it's not going to understand kitty body language in the same way as kitties don't understand doggy body language. So it's a miscommunication, and that's simply all it is. Another thing I want to warn people about as well, and something that possibly could have happened in this situation too, is letting kids and dogs play together in a kind of hyperactive space. What's happening there is when your little King Charles is at home and he's sitting or he's doing things that he understands, he's using the front of his brain, okay? He's using the cerebral cortex, which is all his memory and his knowledge, and that's where he knows his name.
And in a King Charles, that's a very small space.
It's a very small area, but it's there. It's in there, Tommy, yeah. But what's happening then is when dogs are playing, and same as kids playing, the more hyper they get, the more likely that their brain is going to start using the back of the brain, which is cerebellum, which is reactivity and emotion.
In other words, reaction.
This is where the dogs become out of control. This is where kids at a Justin Bieber concert start doing silly things because they're not thinking logically. They're simply reacting and working with the emotional side of the brain. So if the dog is playing with the kids out the front and everyone's going crazy, running around in rollerblades, trampolines going, the dog is circling and pacing around the place, it's likely that dog is now using the back of his brain.
So if the kids are rough and tumbling, the dog's going to think, I can rough and tumble too.
Well, basically, yes, but no. The dog is not going to think. The dog's not thinking anymore. The dog doesn't know its name. The dog doesn't know that this is my little Johnny that I'm not allowed to put my teeth on. The dog is now simply reacting, sees a running object and does what an undomesticated dog would do, which is run, grab, possibly, kill, bite, which is where they do the shaking, and which is what happened with the little boy as well, where he was shook. So this sounds like possibly as well the dog was using cerebellum, using the back of his brain, where he wasn't thinking like the actual personality of that dog, and he was simply reacting as an undomesticated dog would do. So this is something that we need to stop doing. Our dogs should not be at birthday parties. Dogs should not be at pool parties. Dogs should not be out and interacting with kids when the kids are running around and screaming and hyper, because that dog is going to go into a state of mind where it's not thinking and it forgets the rules.
Okay, that's interesting. Nancy, where can people learn more? I know you have the daycare place out there in Toker.
This is my new passion. I need to educate this country to keep us kill free. So what I'm doing tonight is there's a dog bite prevention seminar within the college. So I've got a college as well to teach people to become dog trainers and groomers and so on. So it's through the college, creedonscollege.com, that we are hosting this event. Now this is going to be repeated, and I'm in the process of starting a campaign to start a National Dog Bite Prevention Week, and where we will go into schools and do adult education seminars and then get on to on-post and delivery companies, because they're the ones who get bitten too. So if anyone is interested, it's on tonight at 7, and they can get the tickets on creedonscollege.com. But it'll be repeated, so they can just join the mailing list too. And it's something that people just need to learn about. We just need to educate, and then we're safe. And then the dogs are safe too.
Nanci, listen, it's been a really interesting conversation. And give my regards to your dad.
I will indeed. Thanks a million, PJ.
Cheers. And in case you don't know, Nanci Creedon's dad is the great John Creedon. Dear friend, going back many, many years. Not just of this radio station, but of practically everybody in Cork broadcasting. Anyway.